There's no question we're in a new Cold War. And when President Biden says he doesn't seek a new Cold War, what he's trying to do rhetorically is say, I'm not responsible for the new Cold War. The Chinese are responsible for the new Cold War. And you see the same thing going on with regard to Russia in the Ukraine crisis. What the Americans are dedicated to doing is blaming the Russians for the Ukraine war and making sure that nobody thinks that the United States and its allies are responsible for that new Cold War. A lot of people say, well, if we're in a new Cold War, why are we having all this trade between China and the United States? Look, there's no question you're going to have a lot of trade over time between China and the United States. Uh, you want to remember you had a lot of trade in Europe before World War I, but you still had World War I. You could have a great deal of economic intercourse between two countries that are bitter security rivals. And this is what you're getting today in East Asia. China is trading with countries like the United States, like Japan, like South Korea, that are security rivals. So you see this happen over time in places like Europe and even in places like East Asia. But it's very important to understand that there is one kind of trade where the security competition is very much at play, and this involves cutting edge technologies. The United States is playing hardball with China, not in terms of overall trade, but with regard to trade that involves cutting edge technologies. What the United States wants to do is make sure it remains the world's leading country in terms of developing cutting edge technologies and making sure that China is not a serious rival on that front. So what you see today and what you're definitely going to see moving forward is the United States making efforts to influence trade that involves high technology, but not influencing trade that involves other kinds of goods. And by the way, you'll see this with regard to trade involving Europe and China. The Americans will protest greatly if the Europeans trade technologies with China that will help China maintain its sophisticated technological industries. But otherwise, the Americans will not protest much if the Europeans trade with China.